up guys, it's your boy James back with another video, and something that you guys always ask me, whether it's here on YouTube, on Threads, TikTok, and of course my Instagram, James, what cameras are you using? And I feel like I make these videos all the time explaining all the gear, but as these videos progress, as more people find either the channel or my Instagram, there are new people and some of them aren't really tapped in with those pieces of content. So here we are again, making a what's in my camera bag. But this is gonna be a little bit different. I'm not gonna go too deep as far as like every single minute thing that I have in my camera bag, except we're just gonna focus on all the cameras and all the lenses and some of the filters that I use. I'm not gonna go too deep into the accessories and all the little knickknacks that I have, like batteries, SD cards, all that stuff. If you guys are interested in that, I'll leave those videos down below, or you can click one of the cards up above. But let's get on with this video. So for those of you that are new to the channel, my name is James. I'm a professional director, photographer, editor, and I also own my own photography studio. With that comes with me making content, not only for myself, but for my other companies, my other brands, and for all the client work that I do here in California. Now, a lot of the gear that I use is newly acquired, and some of it I've had for a few years. And like I said, if you guys have followed the channel, you guys know my journey as far as my conversion coming over from Canon and Blackmagic and fully committing over to Sony. And you'll see that this video is primarily Sony. So if you're a Sony user or you're contemplating about being a Sony user or diving into that ecosystem, this is a perfect video because I have things that will cover for the prosumer, the consumer, or if you're just getting started out in content creation, or if you want to be a professional photographer or director. So starting out with the image that you're seeing right now, the camera that I'm using is the Sony ZV-E1. And I say this every time I talk about it, I love it so much that I bought it twice. I literally have two of them. Sony ZV-E1 right here, Sony ZV-E1 right here. And this camera is beautiful. I absolutely love it. And if you guys don't know about the Sony ZV-E1, basically it is a baby FX3. And obviously the FX3 is a much better camera, but this camera, don't sleep on it because it has the same exact sensor, the same exact image quality to an extent, and it has the same ISO settings. So 640 base ISO and 12,800 being that second base ISO. And you're getting that in a ZV camera, which is basically Sony's version of a content creation or a vlogging Gen Z type of camera. But don't let the name or those specs really turn you away from it, because the images that you get out of this camera are absolutely beautiful. Like I said, I've been using it for 2 years, and also I bought it twice. I loved it that much. Now, the one thing that people ask me about this camera is, James, is it good enough for professional video? And I have two answers. It's a yes and a no. And to start out with yes, the image is there. It's capable. Like I said, the image is comparable to the FX3, which is a cinema camera. You're getting the same sensor, the same color science, all of that in this camera. Now, image quality is one thing. Now, ergonomics and functionality is a different thing. Now, I recently used this on a music video. It was a 6-hour music video on a day that was 95 degrees here in SoCal. And honestly, it kind of surprised me, but it only overheated 4 times. The shoot was primarily outdoors. It was in the blazing sun, and like I said, it was like 90 to 95 degrees outside. And I used it all day, and I had it rigged out on a V-mount battery, had a monitor. I had it completely rigged out. This thing was completely capable. I actually used both of them. One I had on a handheld / tripod rig, and one was locked on a gimbal. And between the two cameras, the main one that I was using overheated maybe about 4 or 5 times throughout the day. So it is capable, but if you're using it for longer term type of videos like streaming or a podcast or an interview, or in my case, a music video, it will come with those type of quirks. If you're just shooting, you know, bursts here, bursts there, a clip there, a clip there, this is perfect, and you're gonna get absolutely beautiful image quality. Now, staying in the world of cameras, this is my newest pickup, and this is what kind of completed my transition over, as far as cameras wise, into the Sony ecosystem. Coming from the Canon R5, it was a no-brainer and an easy pickup for me to grab the Sony A7R V. Now, this thing is an absolute beast, absolute monster. This thing shoots 61 megapixel stills 61 megapixels. Absolutely beautiful images coming out of this camera, and it honestly does produce absolutely beautiful video. I did a video not too long ago when I was on my cruise, and I put some example footage of the photos and the videos coming out of this camera, and it is absolutely stunning. This thing shoots beautiful 4K, but being downsampled from, I want to say 8K down into 4. It's either 7 or 8K down into 4K. So it's an extremely sharp, beautiful 4K image coming out of this, shooting in S-Log3, and it's absolutely beautiful. But I do primarily use it for stills. So all of my professional photography, at least for the past 2 or 3 months, has been coming from this camera. I'll throw up a few stills from this camera specifically. Now I do a ton of brand work, whether it's e-commerce in the studio or just out in the field, and this is my go-to. I absolutely love it. Quick story behind this: I found this camera used at Sammy's Camera. I went in to replace some backdrops at my studio, randomly was just looking at cameras, saw this one sitting in the used section, and got to talking to the rep about it. He was like, it's basically brand new. And I was like, what's wrong with it? What's the price? What's going on? Shutter count 4,000, and I got it for $2,800. This camera is over $4,000. I got a steal. So it was an easy pickup. Like I said, absolutely love it. Beautiful camera, Sony A7R V. Can't talk good enough about it. Now switching over to lenses, the lens that you're looking at right now is the Sony G Master 16-35 2.8. Now this is a well-rounded lens, because if you're vlogging or you're just out getting content, this is a great lens because you have a great wide angle, but then you also have a great compressed shot down at 35 mil. Now if you need a wide variety, this is great. Now if you need something even more, I would say, because this is where I would say I need more variety, I like to have my 16-35, but I also like to have my 70-20. I would say pick up the 24-70, which I think is the most versatile lens. This is also a G Master at a 2.8. This lens is absolutely beautiful, absolutely crisp, and it's one of my go-tos when I need just more variety or I need even closer shots when I'm on the go. I do use this for photography as well. The 16-35 I don't use for photography much. I use it more for video, for content and showcasing things at my studio. And like I said, the 24-70 is a great versatile lens, especially if you need some more compressed shots. And this is great, like I said, again, for photography and video. Now to jump over to my latest pickup, which is even more compressed, and I use this primarily for photo. But once I got my hands on it, I used it on the music video that I was talking about earlier, and it kind of just messed up the way that I think about this lens for the better. And this is the Sony G Master 70-200 G Master 2. This is also a 2.8. This is an absolutely beautiful and gorgeous lens. As you can see, this thing is absolutely stunning. The one thing I love about this lens specifically is that when you're zooming, it doesn't protrude. That was crazy. It doesn't protrude or do anything like that. It's all compact, and it doesn't extend any bigger than what the lens is. It does have a collar. I took it off for a shoot that I just did, but it does have a collar. Actually, hold on. So on the collar, you get this little foot that you can put on the lens. Let me do this. You have a little foot that you can put on the lens, and you just slide that there. And I use this for, especially when I'm using it on my ZV-E1, because it's not a heavy lens, but it's definitely heavier than the ZV-E1. So I put the base plate on the foot of the lens, and I attach this to the tripod, versus having all that weight on the connection of the lens. That's a lot of pressure, and you don't want to damage your contact points on your lens or your camera by having all that weight dragging down. But again, this lens is beautiful. I use it for photo and for video. Beautiful compressed shots. The bokeh on this lens is absolutely, it's insane. Absolutely beautiful. I can't talk good enough about it. It's just awesome. Honestly, I love it. And when I switched over from Canon to Sony, the 70-200 was the last lens that I sold. And once I had my A7R V and I didn't have this lens yet, I was like, I'm missing that reach. I'm missing that lens. So I actually found this one on Facebook Marketplace and I got it for $2,200, and this is a $3,000 lens. One thing you'll know about me is that I do purchase a lot of my gear used. I do vet it. I make sure that it's in good condition. I make sure it's not stolen or anything like that. Most people that I find the gear from are also shooters, and they take very good care of the gear. So that makes it easier for me to make that purchase, and I get, kind of a discount with it. Continue on with lenses. I have the Sony 20mm 1.8, and I absolutely love this lens. I usually shoot most of my short form content with this lens because I love the 1.8 aperture, and that just separates me from the background. It has such a buttery bokeh, and it's a G lens, so it's not at the standard of a G Master, but this thing is absolutely beautiful. I throw a ND filter on there, and I can really crank up that 1.8 aperture all the way up and have the ND filter on, so I'm getting beautiful exposure with beautiful bokeh even though I may be outside. The 20mm G lens, honestly, it's a sleeper, and once you pair it with like the ZV-E1, I mean, it's a great little lens, and it's tiny. Like, look at that. I can literally hold it like that. Absolutely crazy guy. I love it. And lastly, with lenses, it is the 11mm lens, and it's actually an APS-C lens, and all these cameras that I talked about are full frame. And the one cool thing about this being an APS-C sensor lens is that you get a cool vignette around your image, around your sensor, giving it kind of like a fisheye look. And I think that could be cool for some creative shots. But with the ZV-E1 and also on the A7R V, you can use clear image zoom and push past that vignette point and have something that's equivalent to, I want to say like a 16 or like an 18 mil with this one lens. And I think that's really cool because it's such a small form factor and you can kind of get two looks out of it. But I will say I do want to replace this lens with the Laowa 10mm 2.8. That lens looks absolutely incredible. It looks crazy. And I think 10mm is such a unique look. Yes, this is 11, but that 10, that 1mm difference, honestly, is a big difference, and it's full frame. So I won't get that vignetting that I get with this lens. So I get the full readout of the sensor. So that will be probably the next lens that I end up picking up once I, get a few more jobs and I can afford it. I mean, it's not like it's a crazy expensive lens. It's like $800, but I have to justify it. I don't like just buying gear just to buy it. There needs to be a need, and then, the funds need to be there as well. Then lastly, I'll talk about filters, because filtration is very important. And I honestly feel like a lot of people don't look that deep into it and they don't take it as serious. Like I said, I am a professional photographer, director, videographer, cinematographer, all those things. And filtration, I know the importance of it. And just to jump right into it, the filter that I have on this lens is the Everyday filter by Short Stash and Polar Pro. Now the thing about this filter, it is a polarizer and a mist filter in one. Now if you look right over here at the desk, you'll see as I turn the filter, you can see the polarizer in action, killing those reflections and adding the reflections. And as I turn, once you find that point that you like, I like it when the reflections are gone because it just makes the image a little bit more contrasty. And it also lifts the shadows up just a little bit. Because the thing about some of these digital cameras, as far as on the mist side, it takes that digital edge down, and then it also just brings your shadows up just a little bit, so that way they're not just crunched. And then when you get into post, if you do want to crunch them a little bit more, you can, but they'll still be slightly lifted because of this filter that you have on there. This is honestly one of my favorite filters. I use it mostly in stills when I'm doing my photography, but on talking head stuff like this, especially when I'm using artificial and natural light, I have light kind of bouncing everywhere. I think this filter is perfect for this scenario. And my last filter is the Peter McKinnon Polar Pro V&D Polarizer Mist Filter. So this is a 3-part filter. It has a polarizer, a neutral density filter, and it has mist. Now, if you guys don't know what a neutral density or an ND filter is basically sunglasses for your lens. And the cool thing about a variable ND filter is that you have multiple stops
on this one ND filter. That way you can choose how much neutral density you want applied. So once I open up the filter, you guys can see, even as I turn it, you guys can see that there's different strengths in the ND. Now I can actually turn that right here like that and get multiple different filter strengths, and this is pivotal, especially if you're doing a lot of run and gun content creation or videos, so that way you don't have to keep switching out singular ND filters. This is honestly one of my favorite filters. It's on the lens the most, especially when I'm using video, and I don't leave the house without it. So those are all of my professional cameras and lenses, but I gotta throw in a few honorable mentions, and I can't talk about cameras and lenses without talking about the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. Now this guy, honestly, I sleep on it. I don't use it as much as I should, but in my most recent vlog, I used it a ton, and every time I use it, it honestly blows my mind away, especially like once you color grade it and you understand how D-Log-M works. Man, this thing is an absolute beast, and I just need to use it a lot more than I do. But whenever, like I said, whenever I use it, I'm always blown away and shocked at how good the footage looks and how much I can push the colors. And honestly, I love this camera. And then my second honorable mention, and I talk about it all the time, and it's my Fuji X100V. And I most recently just got the Freewell wide angle and macro adapter, and I absolutely love this adapter because the one thing I didn't like about the X100V just out of the box is how compressed or how tight the shots are. And I think it's great for most things, but sometimes I just want something a little bit wider, and you can't do it because it's a prime, you can't zoom in. So this attachment has helped tremendously for me to get a little bit wider. And then you also can take off this front element and use this part to get macro shots. And I'll throw up some examples of what they look like, but a wide angle and then a macro. And then once you put this back on, it's all just confined in one lens. Obviously it does make your lens a little bit bigger, but I think it's a great trade-off. That way now I have 3 lenses in one, and yeah, I absolutely love it. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys liked it, let me know down in the comments. Let me know what piece of gear most enticed you. What are you picking up? Let me know. I'm very curious to hear. But until the meantime, I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.